Death Row wasn't after Bad Boy at all. Right. This shit is press you ain't gotta pay for. But just the East-West shit brought the street element into it. Now it's like, it ain't rappers. Probably like his drive. Everybody think he was like this serious dude. Like he'll be here right now. Like he would have been probably the first hip hop president. All his fans, and he had white fans, black fans. He never separate them.
That guy with Tupac and Biggie at the same time?
Yeah. Pac introduced me to Biggie.
You think you know the story? Think again. What if I told you everything you've ever read about Tupac and Biggie, the feuds, the Coast Wars, the headlines was only half the story. That behind the flashing cameras, sold-out arenas, and Instagram-ready drama, there was a whole underground network of deals, secrets, and betrayals that nobody dares to talk about. Yeah, I said it.
We came from Puerto Rich. Hip-hop was built off battles. But like I said, hip-hop didn't take out Pac and Big. It was that media put that heat on it, East Coast, West Coast, just bidding hip-hop against.
And the person finally spilling the tea is none other than Treach himself, the man who saw it all, lived it all, and somehow stayed alive to tell the story. Was it just rivalry? Or was there something bigger, something orchestrated? Who really benefited when two of hip-hop's biggest icons were pushed into a narrative of conflict they didn't ask for? You're about to find out the receipts, the late-night calls, and the decisions that were made far away from cameras and hype. And trust me, this isn't some sugar-coated documentary fluff.
Magazine cover that you mentioned earlier.
All of that. It was supposed to have been more acknowledgement on having your team together. That doesn't look right because it could start something. Is this going to bring heat, or is it more than just the truth? Is it igniting a fight?
This is messy, raw, and 100% By the time we're done, the legends you thought you knew will feel completely different, so buckle up. The timeline you trusted, it's about to snap. The players, some of them aren't who you think they are. And the truth, well, it's bigger, darker, and way more controversial than the media ever let you see. Are you ready to step behind the velvet rope and see what really went down in the shadows of hip-hop history? Let's dive in. Let's start with the players. Treach, Tupac Shakur, and Biggie Smalls. Names that don't just echo in hip-hop, they thunder. You've seen the headlines, the documentaries, the battle of...
Our social media back then. Black Beat, Rap Masters, or
Ego Trip.
I was the first cover of that Vibe magazine. In the middle of a shot, they said, turn, look at the camera, and I took it with my shirt.
Battle of the Coasts narratives. But what if I told you the drama you think you know was just a smokescreen? Treach, the man with eyes in every room, remembers things differently. And let me tell you, it's wild. This isn't just about rap beef. This is about power, money, influence, and secrets buried so deep.
Mad at him, neither.
Let's say Pac, 24-year-old. No.
24 with a Twitter? No. They would have deleted his account. Baby Black Panther, he ran, party. Pac was like, yo, Pac, like, I want to do a song with a boom, boom, boom. Yo, they tried to pay me to do a part of a documentary to talk about this, and I didn't take it.
Okay.
But I'll talk to you.
Right, yeah.
Tiny.
Oh, she called you Tiny? Oh, I respect that.
Trigger, Tiny, either or.
Okay.
She could have, yeah. Pop, this fake, this pop. Yo, let's take this picture. Back then it was like Polaroids and shit. That was like a Polaroid, so that ain't AI.
Even Google can't dig them up. Treach claims it all started behind the velvet ropes of New York's hottest clubs, where Tupac's charm and Biggie's charisma weren't just about music, they were about control. According to our sources, Tupac wasn't just a revolutionary with rhymes. He was a chess player moving pieces on a board nobody else even saw. Biggie wasn't just the king of Brooklyn. He was the man quietly balancing deals and alliances, some legal, some less than legal. The rivalry was carefully curated headlines, sponsored by tension-hungry media and a public that eats chaos for breakfast. Insiders who spoke off the record reveal stories of wild spending and influence that sound like they belong in a movie. We're talking parties so extravagant, private jets parked outside clubs like they were taxis, champagne bottles popping while millions watched from the sidelines thinking this is just music. But behind closed doors, meetings happened that changed the course of hip-hop forever. Treach recalls Tupac introducing him to Biggie. Yes, the moment everyone thinks was simple friendship, but imagine the gravity. Two giants, one room, and the media scripting tension they didn't want. It wasn't just the artists, managers, promoters, even trusted friends played parts in an unseen game. Treach is recounting hints at anonymous executives moving money in ways that would make your head spin. shaping narratives that made fans pick sides like they were in some live-action reality show. One source told him they weren't making music for fans, they were making stories for profit. Treach laughs when he says it, but you can feel the bite behind the humor. Every handshake, every backstage nod, every smile captured by a paparazzi lens had layers that most of the world never guessed. Public perception was completely manipulated. Fans on forums, magazines, even award shows thought they were watching history, but history was watching them too. Treach describes late-night calls between Tupac and Biggie that weren't just casual chats. They were strategy sessions disguised as friendship, talks that determined who would get the spotlight, who would stay in shadows, and how far the media could push the story without blowing the whole thing up. There were times when real danger lurked, threats that never made it into print. Moments when silence saved lives and a wrong word could have rewritten hip-hop history in blood. The scandal wasn't just a beef, it was an intricate web of loyalty, betrayal, and media exploitation. Treach paints a picture of lavish spending masking tension, influence masked as friendship, and a generation of artists caught between artistry and manipulation, while fans argue about who dissed who first. The real stories that mattered were buried in private rooms, between laughs and secret handshakes, never meant for public eyes. This was a world where decisions made quietly could ripple across coasts, turning nights into headlines and friendships into fractured alliances, where every move was a potential headline, every word a possible leak, and every laugh a coded signal that only those who truly knew the players could decipher. The camera
Tech 9 out, like y'all need following y'all to the road. Love y'all, and Flavor Flav was with them. He came to me, Treach, what's up, boy? Like, yeah, like, oh shit, you got, all right, we going right over here. Like hip hop, we were different, a breed of brotherhood.
When hip hop is making real money.
That sound right.
The music of hip hop, the rappers in hip hop. So now there's a disconnect between the culture and the music. And then the rappers are not paying homage anymore like they used to the OG.
The camera saw one story, the crowd heard another, and the truth was often held in the spaces between, known only to those who navigated the shadows and carried the weight of real consequences in silence. And while the world obsessed over the coast rivalry, Treach reveals there was a lot more happening behind the curtains than anyone realized. Meetings that seemed casual were anything but. And late-night conversations between Tupac and Biggie often carried stakes higher than the charts could ever reflect. Sources say that money flowed through hidden channels. Alliances were tested in private rooms, and the media, hungry for clicks and controversy, barely scratched the surface of the real dynamics. There were times when opportunities for collaboration were sabotaged. Not by ego, but by people calculating who would gain the most from chaos, who would profit from tension, and who could be used to fuel a narrative for maximum exposure. Treach tells stories of parties where champagne flowed and cameras flashed, but underneath the glamour were hushed negotiations, warnings passed quietly, and loyalty tested with subtle nods and coded words that no outsider could interpret. People in the know understood that one wrong move could turn a night into a headline that would echo across every city, every magazine, every radio station, and some of those moves could have ended careers or lives. The public saw drama, the internet saw entertainment. But what really happened was strategy, survival, and a code of conduct that kept artists alive and reputations intact. There were moments when Pac's silence spoke louder than any headline could. When Biggie's smiles masked calculations that ensured nobody got burned too badly. Every handshake, every introduction, every glance in the room carried meaning. Loyalty meant more than applause. Respect outweighed fame. And sometimes the right call was to step aside and let the media spin while keeping the real story contained in private. Treach describes occasions where he literally had to mediate between the two, diffusing tension that could have erupted into violence, making sure the lines of communication stayed open, and protecting friendships that the public had been told were irreparably fractured. The lavish lifestyles, the music videos, the tours were the distractions. The public-facing layer of a game played in silence, in hallways, in hotel rooms, in phone calls that would never be recorded or leaked. Even the smallest decisions carried weight. Choosing who sat where, who was introduced to whom, which side door was used to avoid photographers, all of it mattered. Treach recalls moments where the stakes were so high that a single misstep could have changed the trajectory of hip-hop forever. Yet those choices were made with precision, with strategy, and with an understanding that fame is fragile and loyalty is priceless. The narrative the world was sold was curated to shock, to provoke, to generate clicks and controversy. But the real truth was much more complex and layered. Behind every feud were moments of respect, glimpses of mentorship, and a network of individuals working tirelessly to balance ambition with care, to protect the people involved from themselves and from those who would exploit every weakness for gain. It was a world of contradictions where friendship and rivalry existed simultaneously, where laughter could hide calculations, and where silence was more powerful than any statement. Treach's recounting forces us to reconsider everything we thought we knew, to realize that the drama on the surface was a distraction from the deeper truths of strategy, loyalty, and the human cost of fame. And by understanding the layers of choice, consequence, and secrecy, we finally see a version of history that feels as explosive as it is heartbreaking, a story where the legends we idolize were navigating storms we can barely imagine, and the full impact of their decisions continues to echo across the culture even today. If you thought you knew the story of Tupac and Biggie, think again. The truth isn't always glamorous, it isn't always viral, and it doesn't always fit neatly into a headline. What Treach has revealed changes everything we thought we understood about loyalty, strategy, and survival in the world of hip-hop. So here's the question for you. How much of what you see online is really real, and how much of it is manufactured for clicks and chaos? Are we just consuming stories, or are we paying attention to the people behind them, the choices they made, and the consequences that followed? This is your chance to look past the smoke, to question the narratives you've been fed, and to recognize that the real drama often happens where the cameras aren't allowed. If you want to stay in the loop on stories that go deeper than the headlines, you need to be part of this conversation. Comment below with your thoughts, your theories, or even your own experiences, because this is about uncovering truth together. Hit that like button if you're ready to see the untold side of hip-hop history. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a revelation, a leak, or a perspective the mainstream won't show you. The story doesn't stop here, and neither should your curiosity. Stay locked in, stay questioning, and stay ready for the next truth to drop.